Have you ever fallen in love with a knitting pattern only to realize it doesn't come in your size? Yeah, me too. And in this episode, we're going to talk about it. Hi, and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mari, and I'm a knitter and maker based in beautiful Bergen, Norway. Here, I sew, knit, and create garments that brings me joy and fits seamlessly into my life. For me, patterns are more suggestions than rules. I love tweaking them to make garments that suits my life and body. My hope is that through this podcast, I can share my processes with you and maybe even give you inspiration to break a few rules yourself. So whether you're a seasoned knitter or just picking up your first pair of needles, I want this to feel like a cozy sit down with a crafty friend. In this episode, we are covering one finished object, 2 whips, 2 new cast-ons, and a few acquisitions. But I do feel like it's time to start with a little life update. I disappeared a bit for the last couple of months of 2025. My husband and I have been in the thick of renovating out of the house we bought earlier last year. And in November and December, we were living in complete chaos. We have been taking apart walls, replacing windows, and honestly, the whole house and our whole lives felt like one big construction zone. It took about all of the energy that I had. We're not finished yet, but we reached a point where the house is more livable. We have a kitchen again, yay! And the most importantly, we now have both roof and walls. So I'm looking forward to moving on from the renovation phase at some point into the decorating phase. I'm starting to see the shape of what this house will become, and I'm so excited. So, the last podcast I posted was a few weeks ago. It was actually recorded before Christmas. I just didn't have the capacity to finish editing it until January. And this episode is actually pre-recorded as well, because as I'm speaking right now, I'm in the middle of packing for our honeymoon. We're heading to Mauritius for 10 whole days. And by the time you're watching or listening to this, we have just come back. I can't even tell you how much I've been looking forward to this trip. After all of the dust, the chaos, and the noise of renovation, the thought of being somewhere warm, calm, and sunny feels like such a gift. No hammers, no boxes, just swimsuits, audiobooks, knitting, and long quiet mornings. I think we both need that right now. Today I'm wearing one of my absolute favorite knits. It's the Mariboe Sweater. This beautiful design is by Inga Semmingsen. You might know her as Vippetavpinnene on Instagram. It's a stockinette sweater with this most elegant bell sleeves and this beautiful cable along the neckline and cuffs. What makes this one really special is the way it's constructed. You actually begin by knitting the cables around the neckline first, like a collar. Then you pick up stitches and shape the yoke using short rows in the back. The hem is finished with a twisted rib, and those lovely bell sleeves are echoed with matching cables that bring everything together. A clever, satisfying process. For my version, I used knitting for olive, merino, and mohair, both in white. I knit it during a particularly cold winter when I needed something warm but still a little elegant to wear to work, and it served me so well. Of course, I made some changes. While I loved the look of the Mariboe, I actually based the construction of another sweater, the Grace pullover, another favorite, that blend of beauty and practicality, cables from one, structure from another, that made this sweater feel just right for me. So let's talk about the project that's finally off the needles, the Slanting Slipover. This one has been a journey, a quiet one mostly, slow and steady, but definitely a bit of a roller coaster when it comes to how I feel about the finished piece. From the shoulder fit to thoughts on size inclusivity to the simple beauty of the design, this vest has given me a lot to think about. And let's just start there. Size inclusivity. This pattern only goes up to 112 centimeter bust or a 44-inch bust, which for me meant doing quite a bit of modification to make it work. I don't mind adjusting patterns when I need to. I enjoy the challenge sometimes, but I really think size inclusion should be the norm. Everyone deserves access to beautiful, wearable design that fit their body. And while I'll continue to share my own adjustments, I'm also committing to being more intentional about supporting designers who prioritize inclusive design sizing from the beginning. That said, this really is a beautiful design. Clean and modern with a soft net that makes it feel timeless. The lines are simple but thoughtful. The slanted shoulder shaping, everything just comes together in a way that feels effortlessly refined. There's a calm to it, the kind of piece that doesn't try too hard but still turns into something that's just right. It was a pleasure to knit, slow and meditative. Because this original pattern by Anne Ventzel wasn't written in my size, I made a few modifications along the way. To accommodate to my measurements, I added some stitches to the shoulders, but not too many, just enough to reach the width of my shoulders. I find that in tops, the shoulders are a crucial spot to get right. If you nail the shoulder fit, everything else usually falls into place. My shoulders aren't that broad, so I wanted to avoid enlarging the shape too much at the top. Instead, most of the extra width was added under the arms, which gave me the room I needed without making the shoulders feel too heavy. I also choose to double the collar for a bit more structure and kept the side open with a small button under each arm, just for a bit of movement and ease. These were all small choices, but they made the piece feel more like mine. The project has really made me reflect on how we adopt patterns for larger bodies. Not just fit, but the flatter and how they feel right. I've been gathering some thoughts, tips and tricks, and I'm planning to make a video on this very soon. I promise it's already in the making. It will be my take on a tutorial, share reflection and some guidance for anyone who's navigating this too. If you have ever looked at a pattern and thought, I love this, but it's not written for me, you are not alone. And I hope this video will help you feel more confident about making those adjustments with care and creativity. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that one. But we do need to talk about these shoulders because this is where the pattern feels a little less perfect. The construction plays all of the shoulder shaping across the top of the shoulders, and I'm not sure if it's my body with like softer, less defined shoulders, but the fit doesn't quite land. It seems a bit like there's too many stitches, not in this direction, but kind of in this direction, if you get what I mean. It doesn't look completely wrong, just fine. It somehow seems like the vest is about to take off from my shoulder. It kind of hits the right spot, but it's a bit lifted, if you get what I mean. Still, I don't regret making it. It's one of those knits that teaches you something about your body, about preferences, and how little adjustments can shift the whole feel of the garment. I really do love the finished look, and I will wear it a lot, even with the flying shoulders. The yarn I used is Isager Aran Tweed. It was a dream for this kind of rustic project. It's chunky, woolly, full of texture, and those little flecks of color in the gray makes the base fabric feel alive. I've seen similar effects in yarns like Nordlund and Junction Fiber Mill, and this had the same charming confetti-like feel. I held it single for this project, but I love that it pairs so well with mohair or alpaca if you want something softer. So yes, this one has been a bit of a ride, but I'm glad I made it. Not every finished object needs to be perfect to be meaningful. Some of them stick with you because they're taught you something, and the Slanting Slipover did exactly that. So I have come to realize that I almost always need a mindless knit in my rotation. Something that I can just pick up without thinking too much. Something that feels familiar in my hand, and right now, Liv is that project. It started as my carry-around knit, the one that came with me in my bag for those quiet little breaks. It's been the kind of project I fall back on when my brain is full, but my fingers still want to move. But it's starting to grow now, so it's not quite precise anymore. This pattern is one I'm shaping myself. A soft blouse with a classic shirt collar, slightly puffed sleeves, and plans for some lovely buttons at the front. I used a version of the contiguous saddle shoulder to start casting on stitches and then increasing along the shoulder line until you get to the point of the shoulder. And after that, I did quite of a dramatic increase for this puff sleeve. And from here, I'm actually doing some traditional raglan increases to get the right amount of stitches, both for the sleeve, the body, without it getting too long or too short. What really made this project such a joy is the yarn. I'm holding 2 strands together, Foa Foa and Moonspun, and it's been a dream combo. Foa Foa lives up to the name. It's soft and it's airy like a cloud. It's brushed cashmere and merino, and it feels like it floats along the needles. Moonspun, on the other hand, brings that playful, colorful energy. It's spun with American wool in bold, joyful tones that shift when you knit. And the way these two pair with the softness of the Foa Foa is just magic. The color I have chosen is this golden olive green, like matcha or moss, and sunshine rolled into one. It's warm and grounded, but still vibrant, the kind of green that feels alive. So this is Liv. My soft, slow-growing comfort knit, not too flashy, not too flat, just steady, simple joy on the needles. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for a project and yourself is to quietly set it down. The Diona tee is such a beautiful pattern. It has everything I love in a summer knit. It's light and elegant with just enough detail to keep things interesting. The flowing cables along the front and back gives it structure and movement, while the ribbing along the side keeps it neat and wearable. It's one of those pieces where you can dress it up or dress it down, but I'm totally burnt out on this one. It's not the fault of the pattern, truly. I just hit a wall. I've been picking it up, knit almost around, then putting it down for weeks. And that is usually my cue that this doesn't spark joy right now. So for now, I'm gently folding it away. Hopefully not a UFO in the making. This yarn really deserves to shine. It's a BFL blend by the Wool Kitchen that I bought back in 2019 at the Edinburgh Yarn Fest. Yes, so for now, it's a break, but I'll hopefully pick it back up in the near future. Sometimes when you can't find what you're looking for, you just have to make it yourself. This new cast-on came out of that exact moment. I wanted a simple sweater with clean lines, a bit of texture, something graphic but not loud. I searched around, looked through so many patterns, but nothing felt quite right. Not in my size, not in the shape I wanted, and not with the exact kind of detail that I had in mind. And then I thought, well, why not just make it myself? So I did. I just wanted to make something that I'll actually wear, nothing too fancy, just a good solid sweater with a few little details to keep things elegant, some twisted rib, and a few diamond cables that I've just started right here. It's coming together in a way that feels like really me, simple, a bit of texture, and hopefully something I'll reach for often without thinking so much about it. I'm knitting in Vidde, one of my all-time favorite yarns from Hillesvåg. If you used it before, you know how lovely it is. Soft but substantial, rustic but still wearable. It's a blend of lamb's wool and pelt wool. It holds texture beautifully without feeling stiff or scratchy. There's something so alive about it. The color I chose was this deep blue leaning green, somewhere between forest and turquoise. It's cool and quiet, and it has a richness that really comes alive in the stitches. The natural tone shifts in the yarn, giving the fabric some depth, but still feels soft and steady. So no big plan, just following the feeling. This is a sweater I couldn't find, so I'm making it myself. I've started a new sweater, or actually a new cardigan, and I'm really excited about this one. The whole thing began with a single cable. I had this idea of a cable that started right at the neckline, something small and delicate at first, but that grows and becomes more defined and moves down the sleeves. I wanted the sleeves to be the main event, a little rebellion against Sleeve Island, if you know what I mean. The project that I actually was looking forward to knitting the sleeves. And I really do. The construction is also a bit of an experiment. It's kind of a drop shoulder design, but instead of using the usual shaping, I'm trying out this technique where I'm making it in one piece and just increasing along the shoulder line. And this way to make it in one contiguous sleeve. This is kind of a hybrid between the saddle shoulder and the drop shoulder. And I'm curious to see if it will work the way I'm imagining it. Seamless, tidy, but still relaxed. The body starts with this double seed stitch for this lovely pebbled texture, and then it transitions into a row of eyelets and then some clean stockinette. I think it gives a nice pause before the main part of the body, like a little break. And the yarn, I'm using Vidde in a warm golden mustard with flecks of brown and orange. It's heathered, so the color has this beautiful depth that shifts slightly as you knit. Vidde is a blend of lamb's wool and Pel's wool. Soft, bouncy, a little rustic, but not too scratchy. It has about 200 meters per 100 grams. There's a lot of design energy in this episode, I know, and that's not the new normal. It's just where I am right now. When inspiration shows up like this, all you can really do is follow it. And I hope if you're feeling that spark too, you give yourself permission to just follow yours. And now let's get into some acquisitions, because this Christmas I received a gift I've been quietly hoping for. All of this yarn for the Videira jacket. Ever since I saw Amy from La Bien-Aimé's version at the Bergen Strikkefestival, it's been living rent-free in my imagination. And now it's real. The yarn is here and I'm so grateful. The colors I received was Flora Morganite, Yellow Brick Road and Peach Sweater. And they are impossible to be anything than joyful about these colors. Each one sings in its own way. Flora Morganite is a bold, luminous with that electric pink that still somehow feels soft. Yellow Brick Road is grounding but bright, like a golden hour bottled into yarn. And Peach Sweater, it's subtle and tender like a summer memory. And together, these balance each other out beautifully. So, what makes this yarn even more special is the variety of bases. The same color plays different across helix, silk mohair and twist nouveau. Some bases catches the glow, holds it quietly. It's fascinating to see how texture and base can change the way we experience color. The Videira pattern itself is playful. It's a color block hoodie style cardigan, knit in pieces and then shaped throughout clever construction. I'm planning to knit the cropped version, no hood but with pockets, and I think it will be just right for layering over dresses or high-waisted trousers in the spring. There's something so full circle about receiving this yarn as a gift, like someone saying, yes, I see what you're dreaming about, now go make it. And that, to me, is the heart of good gift giving. Not just the thing itself, but that gentle permission it gives you to begin. I'm also getting ready for some vacation knitting. And this time, it's not just any vacation. We are just heading off on our honeymoon very soon, off to somewhere warm and sunny, so naturally I needed a project that hasn't grown too big yet, something I can knit without ending up with a lap full of wool on the beach. I also like to have a bit of variety when I knit on holiday, a little texture, a little color work. It keeps me entertained on the beach. And the project I'm planning in all of this yarn is extra special. It's a pattern I'm making myself, inspired by my national costume, the one my grandmother made 50 years ago that I've been so unlucky to inherit. My bunad is from East Telemark, the region where my grandmother's mother came from. I pulled some of the floral embroidery and woven belt motifs, simplified it and reimagined them for knitting and shaped them into something a little bit more modern. To use it on something you could wear every day. A cardigan. The construction will be a contiguous shoulder, which I love for how neatly it sits around the shoulders. I think it will really suit this design. And the name, that was obvious. It will of course be the Anne Marie Cardigan, named after my grandmother. For yarn, I'm using Sol and Tinde from Hillesvåg, a celebration of Norwegian wool at its finest. Sol is spun on lamb's wool from 4 native breeds. It's soft and airy, but with the bounce that make color work so satisfying. Tinde, on the other hand, is completely different in character. It's made from long wool or pelt wool with a natural sheen and heather depth. It's a bit more rustic, so maybe not for the wool sensitive, but it has this beautiful glow, especially over time. The colors I've chosen is this light beige, this pink, this bluish turquoise, and the deep burgundy. It gave me just contrast and energy I was hoping for, a tribute, a memory, and hopefully a lovely vacation knit. Okay, so lastly, this yarn might be one of the softest things I've ever held. It's Isage baby yarn, and it's a beautiful blend of alpaca and organic cotton. I choose the color number 12. It's this gentle gray with slight lavender tint. It's cool tone, but that whisper of purple softens it, giving the yarn a really nuanced, almost dreamy depth. And the melange effect just brings it to life in such a subtle and elegant way. This project that I'm using this one for, also for my vacation, began in a funny way. Somewhere between laziness and inspiration. I wanted something to knit on holiday, a light and summery cardigan tee with buttons down the front. But I didn't really feel like doing long rows of purling back and forth. I was not going to steek this yarn either. So that's how I ended up building this pattern, the design around the garter stitch with a little bit of a twist. I added a few knit rows to break up the texture and give it a slightly different feel. Pair that with a cable motif I've been playing with, cross between an XO braid and a fern and feather structure. This idea just clicked for me. So right now I made a swatch version 1. It's a good start, but I want to tweak the cable just a little so it shows up a bit clearer against the heathered background. It's definitely one of those yarns where swatching and actually also blocking your swatch is absolutely intention. Isage baby yarn has a tendency to grow, especially on larger needles, so I really want to get the gauge just right before moving ahead. So sometimes all it takes is not wanting to purl and suddenly you've got a new summer cardigan in the making. So I hope this episode gave you a little inspiration, whether it is to try something new, set aside a project for a while, or simply enjoy exactly where you are in your own process right now. If you haven't watched my 2025 knitting roundup yet, I'll leave the link right here. In that video, I'll share the highlights from the past year, the project that really stood out, and some thoughts I'm carrying with me into the year ahead. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd love if you do that. That way you won't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have a lot of ideas and plans that I'm excited to share. New project, reflection, and glimpses into my creative everyday life. As always, thank you so much for watching, listening, and sticking along with me. It truly means so much. Until next time, keep knitting what brings you joy.